Hello there, friends. This is a new setup I'm trying in front of my bookcases. I'm not completely unpacked yet, but we're rocking and rolling. We're trying to get there. So thanks for being patient during my week off while I unpacked the house that I had packed to move. That's fun. Everybody enjoys that, right? Okay, so we are reading, unfortunately, The Misses by E.L. James. So let me close this much better book that's on my Kindle. And then I will open the terrible book. The terrible book that I hate. Oh my gosh, did it accidentally get, like, removed? Oh my gosh, wouldn't it be great if Amazon banned me from ever buying? Damn it, it's there. All right. So it's chapter 16, and obviously it starts with somebody waking up, because that's how all the chapters start, is that somebody's waking up or going to sleep or something like that. But we don't get... I want to just show you. All right, this is chapter 16. You see all this space? See this? This is the text right here. That's the text of chapter 16. Not the whole text of chapter 16, but the first page of chapter 16, right? You see that? We don't get that far without him saying something gross about her being his housekeeper. The smell of fresh coffee rouses me from my beguiling dream. Alessia, blue nylon housecoat. Even his fantasies are about her being his housekeeper. I don't know. I can't tell you. Oh God, it goes on. Could you go to the next page? And we're still in italics. SpongeBob pajama bottoms. Pink knickers. This is disgusting. Because it was bad enough when he was like, ooh, sexy. She's like this sexy wearing a house coat, cleaning my house. But then it's like her sexy SpongeBob PJs. That's gross. So he wakes up and she's standing next to the bed and she's wearing a silky nightgown. And she's brought him coffee. She's like, it's after 9:30. He's like, I've slept in. So she apologizes for getting drunk. And he's like, you know, it says horrified. That he's horrified that she feels like she has to apologize. And it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. You've been stomping around acting like everything she does sucks for the past, I don't know how long, right? But yeah, I guess it's horrible that she has to. You guys, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. She tells him that she liked his friends and she liked the gin too muchly. Because remember, she can't speak English very well, except for when she can speak English perfectly with vocab words you'd find on like a high school English test. I run my fingers beneath her chin, turning her face to mine. You said some things last night. I've been consumed with my own problems, and I haven't asked if everything's okay or if there's anything I can do to make settling into this new life easier for you. Well, all right. I'm not saying that he's perfect. I'm not saying that this was, you know, I'm not saying anything good about him at all. I promise I have nothing good to say about this man. However, I do feel like he took her to get new clothes and they bought a bunch of new kitchenware. And they've only been back for a few days. She even says we've only been back for a few days. So, like, what else were you supposed to do in that time? Other than, like, fucking communicate with your wife about what's going on with this whole genetic testing thing and why you're in such a bad mood all the time. Like, those are things that you could be doing that would probably make her feel better and more welcome. But, you know, who am I? Who am I? You know, I am not world famous author E.L. James, right? So I have no idea how real human beings talk or interact in books. This is clearly the pinnacle of craftsmanship. She tells him, I want to find this girl that was trafficked with me. My relief is instant. Oh, okay, I respond cautiously. But how the hell would you start to search for someone who could be anywhere? I spoke to Tisha Kavanaugh. Shit. The apprehension returns, full force. He's, like, upset that she talked to this woman that he slept with. Like, it sounds like it's going to be impossible to find a single goddamn person in London that he hasn't slept with that she could consult on this, right? It sounds like if she really wanted help with this, she's not going to be able to get it from someone that he hasn't banged, right? So, it's just, she's talking about helping someone who has been trafficked, and his number one concern is, oh no, she talked to the woman I slept with. That's his concern. That's what he's worried about. She makes a joke. And as it turns out, I guess it's unacceptable. We did not talk about you, though maybe we should, compare notes. She's teasing me. Alessia! I don't know if I'm warning her to back the fuck off or congratulating her on her gumption. Why should she not be able to tease you? Why would it take gumption to tease your husband? To, like, just poke fun at him? Like, what about that takes gumption in the first place? Because it shouldn't. That should be, like, something that she can just feel comfortable doing. And, what's this warning her to back the fuck off? This guy is getting more and more charming with every passing chapter. So, Alessia says, I need to find Blariana. I need to find her. I stare blankly back at her as my anxiety returns. This seems an impossible task. Most things, I feel like, Maxim, are impossible for you. I feel like a lot of stuff is beyond Maxim's capacity. Like, he can't figure out the fact that, like, his brother had genetic testing and they're related, therefore he could get that testing and get the answers that he wants. Like, you can't figure that out. Obviously, you can't figure out how to find a trafficked girl. Tells him that Blariana is only 17. He thinks about what a horrible thing this is. He asks if they both ran away at the same time. Alessia's like, I don't know, I ran for my life. I don't know what happened to her. And then she starts to get emotional, and this happens. I haul her into my lap and wrap my arms around her. I didn't mean to imply... God, Alessia, I'm so glad you escaped. Heaven knows what would have... My words die as horrific scenarios roll through my head. Look, I don't think it's a good idea that you get involved in that gruesome world again, even from a distance. I'd never forgive myself if something happened to you because of your search. She stiffens in my arms. I'm not going to lose you again. I tighten my grip on her and bury my nose in her hair. Please. But no, Alessia. I breathe in her scent. The answer's a no. It's too big a risk. I'll talk to Tom. His company does PI work too. I'm not sure if they locate missing persons, but perhaps he can help. She's like, there is a 17-year-old girl. I'm the only person in London who knows that she exists and that she has been trafficked. I have done the legwork. I have called a lawyer. I have gotten the number for a PI. I want to rescue this girl that I knew who was in the same situation as me, who is much younger than me. And again, I'm the only person who knows what's happened to her. And he's like, the answer is no. No, it's too scary for me. I'm too frightened. Like, Maxim, sir, there is a river, and you need to get in it. And I want to hear about mudlarks finding your finger bones. She talks about, like, she has some survivor's guilt, and starts to talk about it, and, like... If she gets emotional about this, he, like, cuts her off immediately, which is kind of what happens here. She says, I feel guilty, I managed to escape. My blood curdles in my veins. Oh God, no, never feel like that. Jesus, Alessia. If those thugs had caught her, I close my eyes again, imagining all the circles of hell, and Alessia in the infernal heart of the worst of them. Don't ever feel like that, sweetheart. Ever. I'm not asking, I'm telling you. Those men were monsters. I'm not asking, I'm telling you that you're never allowed to feel survivor's guilt again. This is supposed to be like a good relationship. This is supposed to be healthy for her or something. He's like, never feel survivor's guilt again. A part of me really wonders, like, when this is being written, is E.L. James writing this and thinking that this sounds romantic because these are comforting things that to her would make her feel better, or just knowing that someone doesn't want you to have these bad feelings is a good thing? I have to know why or how somebody gets their head around this whole, like, never feel survivor's guilt again. I don't know. It feels just very, I'm gonna cure your PTSD with love. Do you know what I mean? It feels a lot like that. My spider friend is over there. I'm watching my spider friend. I'm not at my desk. If I was at my desk, my spider friend would know where I was, but now he's just crawling around, wondering where I am. I've decided for him. And of course, what happens is, after he says, I'm not asking, I'm telling you, you can't feel the feelings that you feel, they have sex. There's a section break, and we come back, and his coffee is cold. This is all that happens. Like I said, there's a section break. This is all that happens. He says his coffee got cold. She says that she'll make him more and some breakfast. He says, no, I'll make breakfast. And then she's like, no, don't go. And then he thinks, oh boy, again. The oh boy is killing me. But seriously, don't have PTSD. It makes me too sad. Don't have survivor's guilt. You're not allowed to feel the way that you feel because it makes me feel sad. Let's do it. Oh, my coffee's cold. Let's fuck to celebrate. I don't understand. So he's in the shower thinking about how they've done it twice in one morning. And he thinks of her being voracious. All these people do is fucking shower. And then they go do other stuff like off the page, and we hear about it later. He thinks she seems much happier today. Well, I guess because she's pretending to be much happier. I mean, this is the same day, but he's like, oh, she's much happier today. Why? Because you had sex twice? Because you told her not to express her feelings, or that she's not allowed to feel her feelings, and since she's not feeling those, she must be happier. Okay. I'm glad we talked, and I'll call Tom today and get the ball rolling on what's probably a futile search, but for Alessia's sake and her friend's sake, we can try. I'm just adding that inflection, but that's what I'm thinking. The idea that he's like, oh yeah, well, it's probably nothing's gonna happen, but I guess, you know, to make Alessia happy, so we keep boning twice in one morning, I guess we can look for her 17-year-old human trafficked friend. They don't even call the police? Like, they're not even gonna involve the cops and go like, hey, hi, this is my wife. She was human trafficked. She knows someone else who's been human trafficked. Can we get the ball rolling on this? Like, I'm 100% sure that somewhere in London, somewhere, there are law enforcement officers that handle human trafficking. I am 100%, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they don't do any of that. Maybe they just, all the police in England just solve little seaside mysteries, and then the ones in London deal with when the aliens come. And that's it. That's how it goes. That's all I know is London from TV, right? Like, maybe it's just, you know, the London people do the Doctor Who stuff. The cops in the other part do, like, the juicy mysteries in small towns. I don't know. But why? What? But I know why. I know why. Because all of the conflict, all of the plot in this book could be wrapped up very quickly if anyone did the obvious thing. Like, I don't know, going, hey, my brother had this genetic testing done. Maybe since we are both related, I will also have the genetic testing done, and then I will get answers. All it takes is the most obvious solution. The most The most obvious solution. And they will have solved that part of the plot. So they cannot do that because then that plot would be over. So like this thing with Blariana, if they went to the authorities and to people that are absolutely trained to deal with human trafficking, who might even know the traffickers, she might even go say by name, these two guys, and they might have like pictures on security photos or whatever, and go, oh, these guys, we've been tracking them. But that would be too easy. Chances are she's gonna get fucking kidnapped again. I have not looked up spoilers for this book. I have kept myself in a bubble. It's been much easier than 50 Shades of Grey because it seems like literally nobody gave a shit about this book coming out. All right, so there was no fanfare. It wasn't around. I couldn't be spoilered for anything, but I just feel like she's gonna get fucking kidnapped again because at no point has anyone involved, like, international authorities. I'm sorry, but if Interpol could go after Carmen Sandiego, I'm pretty sure that they can find the guys who drove the box truck from Albania to England, right? And you know what? Because Interpol did catch Carmen Sandiego. I know, I was there. I caught her. Where in the world? And where in the USA? On a Commodore 64, okay? So I know that they are capable of catching Carmen Sandiego with my help. They can give me a call if they need help getting Blariana back. But the first step would be these dingbats going to the authorities. He's gonna shave, and then he's like, no, my wife likes my stubble. And then he goes into the bedroom. The bed is already made. You can take the girl out of Albania. I smile. I'm glad she's out of Albania. With me. But I'm not sure what to think of her mission. Is it wise? I imagine it will be fruitless. How can you find a trafficked, undocumented immigrant? We can try from a safe distance, because there's no way I'm letting anyone pull her back into that hideous underworld. I need to keep her safe. Oh yeah, she's getting fucking kidnapped. This bitch is as good as kidnapped. She might as well have just been yanked out the bathroom window. This bitch is getting kidnapped. No one has been kidnapped as much as this bitch is gonna get kidnapped. The Lindbergh baby has nothing on her. She's getting kidnapped. All right, so he goes to work. We have to hear about the monthly profit and loss and how well the estate is doing. They're not making a lot of profits. He's thinking about gin, about making gin on on the estate. And then we go back to Alessia. Alessia presses the intercom on the anonymous-looking door in a back street in Covent Garden that bears the discreet sign MPPI, Maddox Peacock Private Investigators. Hello, answers a gruff, disembodied voice. Hello, my name is Alessia de Trevelyan. I have an appointment. She didn't have the courage to tell Maxim she'd already made the appointment to see the private investigator. What harm could it do? Well, you could get kidnapped. Because that's what's going to happen to you. You are going to get kidnapped back to Albania. She knows she's acting in defiance of her husband, and she feels guilty. But as Maxim himself once told her, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. She did ask for permission. He said no. An emphatic no. Oh, Zot. She goes inside. Paul Maddox comes out. His name is Paul Maddox. He's described as well-built and having a shock of blonde hair, bright blue eyes, and big hands. I guess the next book is going to be about Paul Maddox. Oh, and then E.L. James just decides to just, fucking jam another plot thread in that we have not heard anything about, even when we've been in Alessia's POV. Absolutely no curiosity about this or anything like that. She just, it's like the book is a garbage can that is overflowing, and she's like, I'm just gonna throw this part on top and then just, push it down with my boot. That's the best way I can describe this. I'm looking for a missing person and want to trace a family. Are these related? I'm sure the family is Maddox. No, I'm trying to find a girl who was trafficked to England from Albania, and I'd like to trace the family of an English woman. Her name was Virginia Strickland. From her purse, she pulls a small, faded, black and white picture of her grandmother as a young woman. In pearls, a dark sweater with short sleeves, her head cocked to one side, her smile lighting up the frame. She hands it to Maddox. So now we're also looking for Grandmama's family. That's all Alessia gets. We go from her POV back to work with Maximilian, or whatever his name is. Maxim. I don't give a shit about this guy's name. We go back to the dickhead's work. After my meeting with Oliver, I call Tom and ask him if Alessia's mission to track down her friend is a fool's errand, or if it's possible to find someone after they've been trafficked into the country. Well, this is a challenge, Tom says after I've explained the situation, and I can almost hear the cogs in his brain whirring. How many women, he asks. I believe there were 6, including Alessia. Dreadful business. Yeah, dreadful business. Like, let's fucking understate that shit. He thinks that maybe... Okay, so Tom! Okay, Tom says... It's possible we could track the girls down. Tall order, mind. I need more information. I can make inquiries with the police. I have a contact. You know him. Remember Spafford from school? How could I forget him? Charlie Spafford had been a fearsome bully. No wonder he joined the plod. Well, he's got a job. Like, it's very rare that I'll side with the cops over anybody, but I will side with this guy because at least he's working for a living. Right? Yeah, he's a cop, but... he's got a fucking job, Maxim. What do you do? But yeah, so Tom is smart enough to say, hey, why don't we call the police? That's a good place to start. And then he brings up again that she was originally here illegally. He's like, she needs to be kept out of this. She was here illegally. Again, I say, she has now come into the country legally. Do we have proof that she was here before? And if she was trafficked in, how is that a crime? Like... is she really, I mean, like, I don't know. Is that the law in England? That if someone traffics you into the country against your will, you're the one committing the crime? Is that what I'm supposed to be getting from this? If that's true, that's fucked up. But I also feel like it's probably not true. And then at some point, Tom agrees with him by saying, Roger that. I roll my eyes. You can take the man out of the army. So twice now we've had the you can take the out of the thing happening in this chapter, but we've also twice now had this jobless man, because being a count is not a job. Owning land that other people do all the work on is not a job. He is jobless, okay? This jobless man criticizing other people for having employment. Again, I don't have a problem with people who are unemployed. If you don't want a job, don't have a job. But don't pretend that being born rich is a job, because that shit isn't a job. So this man is jobless, and he is criticizing other people for having jobs and doing things like going into the army. Like, maybe that's the only way Tom could, like, do anything. Maybe, like, Tom couldn't afford things because he wasn't born rich. I hate Maxim. I don't know if I've gotten this across before, but I hate Maxim so much. And it might be because of my billionaire thing that has happened recently, where I just, like, fucking hate billionaires, and I just, that fucking the submarine was my last straw. I will say this until the day I die. People will be like, hey, how come you're not writing billionaire books anymore? And I will say, because of the submarine. But I hate Maxim. I hate him so much. I end the call and check my phone for the millionth time for any messages. There's still nothing from my mother. What the hell is wrong with her? And I know deep in my bones it's because she despises me. She always has. It was always Kit. Kit, Kit with her. I used to not care, but now it cuts deep, and I wonder what I did when I was young to inspire such contempt. Fuck it. To hell with her. Yeah, okay, so, she also might not be contacting you because you went away and married somebody in Albania and you weren't going to tell her, and then when you came back, you sent her a bunch of shitty voicemail messages demanding that she call you, and then you cut off her access to all of her money. I don't mean to Maxim, you know your own experience. Own your own experience. Feel your feelings. I'm not you. I'm not going to tell you you can't feel things. That's for you to do. That's for people who think that being rich is a job. That's for them to do. But, yeah. You treat your mom like shit, and I'm sorry that she doesn't want anything to do with you. I'm sure it was something you did as a child, and not something that you've done in the past 48 hours. Of course, Carolyn, though, has been blowing up his texts. She is like, oh, you went out without me. Yeah, he gets to do that. He's married. You're not his wife. Back off. So she's like, you went out without me. And he's like, how do you know? And I'm like, because she was hiding in the back of your fucking car, waiting to chloroform your wife and slit her throat and then put her clothes on and pretend to be her. That's one of my thoughts, just off the top of my head. But turns out they are in the Daily Mail. And the headline is like, Drunken Earl with Mystery Wife. And they're calling Carolyn. Does Carolyn do PR for the estate? Why are they calling his brother's widow? Then she says that she misses going out and she wants to know, like, how long she's, like, gonna be punished. Like, how long she's, not allowed to, like, hang out with them or whatever. I've had an invitation to Dmitri Egnov's party. It's on Saturday. Are you going? I've always thought he's a bit dubious. His father is, anyway. Are you ready to face the world again? My phone rings. It's Caro. What? I ask. I think I'm ready. It's sweet of you to care. Shit. In a fraternal way, Caro. I don't want her to get the wrong idea. I'm not sure I could bear another night in, she continues. And Dmitri knows how to throw a party. So basically, I don't know, she can't fucking leave her house without Maxim. She can't go to a party without Maxim. Like, put the brakes on this. But you know what? He likes it. He likes that his brother's widow wants to bang him. He likes this. He can't get enough. She says that this might be a great time to bring Alessia out and introduce her to society. And then she's like, oh, let me take her to get a dress. Because, like, she's not absolutely gonna fucking sabotage her. Bitch, I see through you. And Maxim, you should too. But obviously, this is how it's gonna go down. I don't know. She's like, you can't keep her from meeting people forever. Are you ashamed of her? And he's like, no, of course not. And fuck you. And, then he's like, he'll think about it. Maybe he'll take her. He gets home, and of course, Alessia's in the kitchen, and he comes in and he watches her cooking. Because that is all E.L. James's characters do, apparently, is fuck, shower, cook, and get watched cooking. I'm surprised she's not dancing in one of his shirts. He asks her how her day was. Alessia debates whether to tell him about Paul Maddox, but because he's brooding about something and she's not sure how he'll react if he finds out she went against his wishes, she distracts him with a question. She's not sure how he'll react, so she doesn't want to tell him. That sounds safe. That sounds like a good relationship. Maxim tells Alessia that he talked to Tom and Tom wants to talk to her, and she's like, I will call him right now. Literally okay. He wants to talk to you about your friend. Blariana? No, some other fucking friend. Yes, call him after dinner. I can call him now. I'll text you his number. Section break. We skip over the... Why did I have to know that he was going to text her that number? Why? What part of that exchange was... God, I'm exhausted by the amount of extra bullshit that does not need to be in this book. I am exhausted to my butthole. There are just times when I read something and I think to myself, I know I did that. I know I put that in my book. And I wish that I could go back now and remove it, because I don't want my characters to have anything in common with this character, right? Like, it's so inane. It's so small. It's the tiniest little thing. But he plays Call of Duty. And he wants her to play Call of Duty with him. Do you, in England, do you call the controller, do you call it the controller, or do you call it the console? Because in here, she says that Alessia is holding the console upside down, but in America, okay, this is the controller, and the console is actually the unit itself. So is this, do you call the controller a console? Anyway, he feels like he knows that he can beat her at Call of Duty because he didn't see a PS4 back in Albania. And it's like, well, obviously not, because you were in the part of Albania where everybody was like banging sticks together for entertainment. And like, if they managed to get a little spark and make fire, they jumped around like, woo, woo, woo. You know, like that's the part that you were in. You were in the caveman part of Albania. But yeah, I have a billionaire character in Her Brother's Billionaire Best Friend who plays Call of Duty. I think we actually took Call of Duty, the word, out because the publisher, when I wrote it for Yonder, they were very, very particular about taking out anything like if you said Kleenex, it had to be changed to tissue. It was just something like that, you know, like it was that specific. They had to clear everything with legal, and I know that I'm pretty sure Call of Duty got taken out, so when I release it, I'll say they were playing Battlefield, because that is actually the better game. They're gonna play the video game, and then there's a section break, and they're having sex. Ugh. There are 2 garbled cries in this sex scene. I'm not gonna read the sex scene because it's exactly what we've read before. You know, it's the standard E.L. James sex scene. But there are 2 garbled cries. Once she garbles his name in a cry, and then there's a garbled cry. So just writing tip, garbled is a word that not only does not inspire passion in a reader, at least not this one, it's also kind of a sticky outy word, so maybe don't use it twice in one sex scene. Alright, and then after the boring sex scene, she goes to sleep. And that's the chapter. So what have we learned in this chapter? Maxim still has not figured out that he can just have the genetic testing done and get his answers himself because he has the same genetics as his brother. He has said that she's not allowed to feel guilt or emotions, or she's apparently just not allowed to have survivor's guilt because it makes him feel bad. And he gets anxious and he doesn't like that, so she can't have emotions anymore. She's afraid of how he's going to react. He doesn't give a shit about trafficking victims, and he's kind of like la-di-da. He still thinks that being rich is the same thing as having a job. And then they're just boning constantly. Just constant boning. So, here we are. Same old song. I wish I had something else to say. I wish I could tell you that it's going to get better, but we all fucking know it isn't. We know it's not going to get better. Predictions. She's going to get kidnapped. He's going to get jealous of this Paul Maddox guy, and or this Paul Maddox guy is going to become obsessed with her and want her, and it's going to be a whole thing. I mean, we've got 50% of this book left to go. We're halfway into it. This could go any number of ways, but it seems most likely that she's going to get fucking kidnapped, and or Paul Maddox is going to turn out to be a slime ball who wants to have sex with her. Either that, or we're going to see, like, Paul Maddox in another book. Yeah. And then I'm just patiently waiting for the scene where Carolyn gets her like an inappropriate dress for this party. So yeah, that's the chapter. That's this absolutely fascinating book. Thanks for sticking with me through this. Thank you for caring to hear my thoughts on this when all of my thoughts have gotten, it has gone from like ha 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 funny to just me shouting. Just being shouty. So thank you for being patient with me and still wanting to see the shouty thing. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell strangers on the street, grab them and tell them to check out Jenny Trout's YouTube channel. There are links in the description box to my own stuff, like the Ogre's Fairy Tale Bride, which is my current project that I'm working on right now. And it's a serial that's being posted twice a week. So, yeah, I'll catch you on the flip side.